If you're a Microsoft junkie but you've been stuck on Sprint with that HTC Arrive, well, get excited because 2 new Windows Phone 8 devices are coming your way. I'm Aaron Baker from PhoneDog.com, and one of those devices is the HTC 8XT. It's available now for $99.99, and it packs a dual-core processor, 1 GB of RAM, 8 GB of internal storage, and Windows Phone 8 for a $100 price tag. Not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but is it worth it in comparison to the One, the Galaxy S4, the iPhone 5, and a slew of other high-end devices out there on the market? We'll find out in the full video review of the HTC 8XT, which starts right now. If the HTC 8XT looks familiar to you, the reason why is because barring kind of a design amalgamation, if you will, between the 8X and the 8S with this two-tone color scheme, this is basically an HTC 8X on Sprint, but it's nice to see, and I'm comparing the original HTC 8X just from a design perspective, so you can see the difference. It's an 8S in a lot of different ways, but it brings the specs kind of, if you will, up into the realm of the HTC One. This is available now through Sprint for $99.99, and it brings Windows Phone 8 to Sprint for the first time, and it's only the second Windows Phone device ever to grace the nation's Now network, which I don't know if it's still the Now network or the Super Now network with the acquisition of SoftBank, but this thing is available now for $100, and specs-wise, you're looking at a 1.4 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon 400 CPU, 1 GB of RAM, 8 GB of internal storage here, 8 megapixel camera on the back with 1080p HD recording. You still have Beats audio here, but you do get boom sound with the 2 speakers, one at top, one at bottom on this device, mimicking the HTC One. Also really enjoy the camera application on this device because it brings the One's camera application to Windows Phone, and you can configure it to be the primary camera app, so you can take it if you're coming maybe from an older HTC device, or perhaps you're coming from the One itself and you wanted to try something else. The photo application going to be very similar across the board, despite that this is Windows Phone 8, and historically it's been pretty locked down in the customizations department by the individual OEMs. Back to specifications though, like I said, dual-core 1.4 gigahertz processor, 4G LTE capabilities here, a 1,800 milliamp hour non-removable battery here. Design-wise, mimics again the 8X with the volume rocker over on the right side, camera shortcut button over on the right side, 3.5mm headphone jack up top, along with a power button right here. Kind of hard to see in the camera, it's just a two-toned blue color. Nothing on this side, but again, you got that two-toned look and feel that's kind of reminiscent of the 8S. It's packing Windows Phone 8 with a wealth of customizations, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the video, and then just out of the box you get HTC's applications, converter, flashlight, you get DataSense, which is a Microsoft application that when Windows Phone 8 launched, it originally premiered on Verizon and was exclusive to Verizon. Now you're seeing it on multiple carriers, most recently the Nokia Lumia 925, the Lumia 1020, and then now the HTC 8XT. Office integration, music and videos, games integration, but you got some HTC stuff here as well. Make more space, photo enhancer, and then some Sprint applications down here at the bottom. Scout, Sprint Music Plus, Sprint TV, visual voicemail, and Wallet as well, which is a pre-install out of the box. I'm going to step back for a second and thank our partners at Best Buy Mobile. They give us phones like the 8XT that we turn around and give to you for free on our website at instantwin.phonedog.com. Play there to win today. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile to get this device, they'll help you set up everything as part of their walkout working program. They'll get your live tiles set up however you want them. They'll help you make sure that when you walk out the door, be it you or your mom or your grandma, you're good to go. All your questions are answered thanks to Best Buy Mobile. So jumping right in here, one of my favorite things about HTC, and when you compare Windows Phone devices, it's kind of hard at times because, and this has gotten better over the years, but when it first came out, customization was few and far between. You couldn't really tell an HTC device blocking the OEM's name from, for example, a Nokia device. They looked very similar. The live tiles were the same. Microsoft allows very, very little customization in the OS department, but they've relaxed that a little bit, and most notably on the HTC 8XT and on the Lumia 1020 as well. You're seeing stuff like this. The fact that HTC has a custom camera application now on the device, which we'll talk about later in the video and in part 2, but it brings over the Android side, the HTC One or on the Lumia 1020, brings over more of a pro mode than you may get from the Windows Phone application. You've seen these kind of from the beginning though. HTC is allowed to do some live tiles and some customizations, and one of those is just the HTC tile. I find this incredibly useful, and it's a personal preference. like anything else. There are a lot of things I like about the Lumia 1020, including the Here application suite, but what I really like about this, that you can see the weather, and it's very much a nice transformation for those people that are coming over from HTC and think, hey, HTC, why doesn't it look like an HTC phone, for those people that aren't in the know as to the different OSs. But you can view news, weather, and stocks from here, and you can set this as a lock screen as well. And if you've watched any of my Windows Phone 8 videos, you know you can do this, but I can come into the lock screen, for example, and come here to choose background, and I can make it HTC. Now, Bing is available on all the Windows Phone devices, but now that it's HTC, you'll see, and it should have reset. I'm not quite sure why it did not reset. We'll try it again, that's okay. Happens from time to time. Settings, we'll go down here to lock screen, we'll make sure it's on HTC, and then we'll go back home and turn it off and back on. And it's still showing that wallpaper. Very interesting. Not sure why it's doing that, but it should show HTC's weather widget and more, so you get kind of that HTC look and feel, as opposed to just Bing or just a background wallpaper that you can get on any Windows Phone 8 device. Now, comparing these to other devices on the market, here's the Lumia 1020 just size-wise. It's got a 4.3-inch WVGA display here, 480 by 800 pixels. That's probably the biggest downside of this device. It is not an HD display, and you can tell it, particularly after working with the Galaxy S4, the HTC One, the Lumia 1020, all these devices with at least 720p HD resolution and up. Really a noticeable difference on the display side, but still 4.3, just size to size, 4.3 to 4.5 here. Comparison to the HTC One, it's kind of brother from another mother, brother from an Android mother. You can see it there with its 4.7-inch display and the look and feel differences. And then I've got the Galaxy S4 here, just putting it side by side for comparison purposes. So in the hand, this is going to feel about the same as the other high-end devices on the market. One of my favorite things about Windows Phone 8, though, the People Hub and the integration with your social media stuff and more, and I put this front and center on this one because I think it's pretty cool. You're seeing my PhoneDog_Aaron Twitter account. I can come in here and I can see my notifications for that account. I can come down through here and share as well. I can post an update directly to Twitter from the 8XT video, and I can say HTC 8XT video and post it to Twitter, and boom, it'll update my status. And from this application, it will show what it looks like as well. So you can see my PhoneDog_Aaron avatar here, and it'll update right here, and you can see that I posted that to Twitter 7 seconds ago. I can also check in to a couple different places. I can use check-in through Microsoft. I can set my chat status as well for Microsoft Chat. Now, cool thing about Live Tiles, just jumping into this really quickly here, I've got a bunch of different sizes as you can see, and I can make these larger or smaller with Windows Phone 8. And if I make it large, I can see my message previews. I can make it small. I can basically customize this any way I want. And I love the Live Tile look and feel here. They've expanded them out, less dead space on the sides, and more ability to customize. And you can see some of these Live Tiles in action with the picture here, and then of course my Twitter handle, and my Twitter avatar, and then messaging, and you can see all the Live Tiles here with people, pictures moving around. If I had more pictures on my test account, you'd see those pop up. You may see one pop up in just a second, but Outlook account, store as well, all these live numbers and things moving around my American application, Yelp, and more. So really the ability to customize this makes it great. You can move the phone around if you want to. I can change the size, make this big, move it over here to this side of the Sprint phone icon or phone Live Tile. Really do what I want to, and you can see all of these moving in tandem. Really cool when you have about 10 or 12 of those working together at the same time, and you're seeing live updates right here from your home screen. You can also change the color, the background, and more. Stay tuned for part 2. We'll talk about the camera, we'll talk about overall speeds of this device, and Sprint's 4G LTE network. Stick around for part 2.